The real history behind hot yoga's transformation and see how it really began. This video is going to take place in a different location. I recently did a hot yoga workshop in Marlton, New Jersey at Yoga Revive. Big shout out to Paul and Shire for hosting this amazing weekend, amazing event. So we're going to talk about the origins of hot yoga, how Bishnu Ghosh, and also connect it a little bit with Krishnamacharya, who is another pioneer to modern day yoga. So let's head right over to Yoga Revive and get started. Thank you, Paul. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. All right, so we're going to talk for about 30 minutes or so. A little bit about the history of yoga, how it ties into modern day times, how we came about this, our particular lineage, hot yoga. So we've been talking about the history of yoga and how there's a transition happened about maybe 80, 90 years ago. And there were two very prominent yogis from two different sections and areas of India. One was named Krishnamacharya. He was down in the south, an area called Mysore. He had three real prominent students that became world-class teachers. One was Iyengar. So a lot of you know, heard about Iyengar yoga. His other student was Pattabhi Jois, and he created his version of Ashtanga yoga. Another was his son, Desikachar, created a style of yoga called Viniyoga, and he wrote a book about his father. And in the book, one of the main things he said was his father's approach to the yogic asana was vinyasa, interestingly enough. That's why a lot of the traditional vinyasa classes came out of the Ashtanga tradition, almost because they didn't want to be stuck or limited to the sequences that Pattabhi Jois had put through. They wanted to have more improvisation. So there was an argument and a controversy with that whole concept. And then up to the north, in the eastern part of the country, the state of Bengal, the city of Calcutta, was Bishnu Ghosh. He was a little bit younger than Krishnamacharya, maybe 15, 20 years younger. And they were two very important pioneers because they, more so Bishnu Ghosh than Krishnamacharya, but they shifted the attention from what, for the last 6,000 years, the approach to yoga, why they would go to the yoga teacher, why they would go to the yoga ashram, was for spiritual advancement, is to ease the suffering, to evolve, and to find God. So you would go to the yoga guru. The gurus, especially the ones that have professed to have reached enlightenment, to find God. Now, all of a sudden, there is a shift. Krishnamacharya and Bishnu Ghosh now start to develop the yogic asana as an exercise and a healing modality. So there's where the shift came. And that's when the Westerners grabbed a hold of it, because you don't see thousands of yoga studios across the world now teaching you how to meditate and find God. Most of those yoga schools and studios are going to teach you how to do yogic postures or asana to heal the body, to feel better, to make a future investment in your health and flexibility, strength, and so on and so on. And mental stress too. The mental part of it is just as part as the physical. Before that, asana was taught really to everybody. They were taught to children in the forest. That's how they came up with all the names of animals: eagle, cobra, locust, tiger pose. And the yogic asana was meant for the yogis so they could sit for long periods of time in meditation. Because asana actually means seat. The yogi takes his meditation seat. They didn't even call the standing positions asana until 100 years ago. Only what the true asanas were, posture like you're doing right now, just sitting in a position. This is called sukhasana, or easy pose, or householder pose. Then there's lotus pose, which is a little more advanced for the hips, which is considered to be one of the most important postures for meditation. And now they did, especially, let's go to Bishnu Ghosh first. Bishnu Ghosh creates not just, he creates this gymnasium. And he doesn't just, and this is where our yoga comes from, he calls it Ghosha's College of India. It's still there today in Calcutta. And he doesn't just teach asana, he teaches wrestling, and he teaches track, and he teaches gymnastics, and he teaches bodybuilding and weight training. So his thing was combining weight training with yoga. That was his prescription for someone to have the ultimate health. Krishnamacharya, his yoga studio was adjacent to a gymnasium. So they had two very similar influences, even though they were so far away from each other, they probably didn't even know each other. But they had, and Krishnamacharya was now influenced by the gymnastics. And that's how he came up with all the arm balancings and all the jump throughs and the jump backs that we do in vinyasa, which you got to be careful with. We just had a training in Fort Lauderdale, and we did so many vinyasa classes, somebody hurt his foot jumping back so much. So you got to be careful, hold that core. Anyway, so now the influence of modern athletics and gymnastics now comes into the yogic approach. And that's what the Westerners loved. That's what so we can measure results. We can see true results through the practice of our asana to feel better about ourselves, to be stronger, to be healthier, to get rid of stress and tension. So the transition shifted from the spiritual to the physical and to the mental. And we've been talking about this all weekend. You ask the average yoga teacher, what's the definition of yoga? And many times they'll say the union of the mind, body, and the soul, which is the preliminary answer. But the true union is the union between man and the universe, or woman and the universe. And that's why they chose the word yoke or union. So it's important to understand the spiritual foundation, the 6,500-year history. That's what sets yoga apart from modern exercises, like running and weightlifting and hot Pilates, which is the thing now. I mean, and hot Pilates is probably the one that's closest, because we're not just strengthening, we're creating range of motion. We're combining flexibility and strength together. That's what's going to keep the body healthy. The combination of strength and flexibility. That's why dancers and gymnasts are so drawn to yoga, because they already did that. And that can be very challenging. If you're stronger than you are flexible, the flexibility requirement of the yogic asana can be very challenging. If you're more flexible than you are strong, then the strength part, the foundation to support your flexibility, can be very challenging. I'm not looking at you for any reason. So what do we have to do? We have to focus on what we need more of. So you can't be just thinking flexibility and just kicking that leg up in the air and just going for your full expression in the pose all the time. You have to think about strength and strong and hold tight. On the other hand, just assuming you probably are stronger than you are flexible, just making an assumption because you're a guy. Am I right? Yeah. You need to think loose, relaxed. You got to let go. In the Bikram world, they're always tight, 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 tight. That is not a good cue for you and for me in the old days. We have to relax and let go and loosen up. So you're going to direct your energy into the practice. And if you're not flexible or strong,
back tomorrow.
Every day, you gotta come every day. How many days a week should you be doing yoga? Minimum 4. Bikram would say 3, I say 4. 5 is great, 6 is ideal. I don't like 7. You want to take one day off to give your body a chance to recover, one day off to give your body a chance to just restore. You just did the morning class just now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all right. That's good. But you got to give yourself the chance to recover and to restore. That's super important. We didn't even, the school wasn't even open on Sundays in the old days. It was closed. We didn't open on Sundays until, it must have been like late 1980s, something like that. I don't know. So here comes Bikram Chowdhury, and Bikram was one of Bishnu Ghosh's top students. He was 26 when Bishnu Ghosh died, so he wasn't his number one guy. His number one guy was somebody that was actually around the same age as Bishnu Ghosh. His name was Buddha Bose, like the speakers, Bose speakers. He was half English and half Indian. He wrote a book called Key to the Kingdom of Health. You know that book?
Yeah, I had to read it for my training.
For ESAC, yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was really his number one student. But Bikram was one of the top guys. Welcome back to my home. Let me know if you enjoyed this format, a little more casual, off-the-cuff format in this lecture setting. And I'm going to be bringing you more clips from that lecture in future YouTube videos, talking more about Bishnu Ghosh and how the Barkan method hot vinyasa came about. So as promised, here's where I'm going to be in the next few months. January 17th up in Delray at Hatha Yoga for a one-day workshop. Then January 23rd to the 25th, I'm going to be at Blissful Spirits in Albuquerque, New Mexico for a 3-day Barkan Method workshop. February 4th to the 8th, I'm going to be at Steamtown Hot Yoga. That's in Scranton, Pennsylvania for a Barkan Method Level 2 and 3 teacher training program. And also in February, I'm not sure of the date, I'll put it down below, I'll be in Selfoss, Iceland for another Barkan Level 2 and 3 teacher training program. So that's our episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell. Any questions or comments, put them down below. Especially let me know if you enjoyed this format, and I will see you at the next video. Bye, everyone.